Welcome to You're Not Alone, the podcast that brings you real stories of strength, hope, and resilience. Our guests are real people just like you who have faced losses, anxieties, and life obstacles but emerged stronger. Today's guest said I do for the first time at 49 and proved that love has no deadline. After years of growth and healing, she met the love of her life and began a brand new chapter. If you ever felt like your moment hasn't come yet, this episode is your reminder. It's never too late for your happily ever after. Grab your tea, coffee, wine, or a wedding cake because you are in for a story that is full of heart and hope. My name is Vita. I'm a mindset mentor, Reiki master, and a sound healer. I'm also the CEO and founder of Self Awesomeness and the host of this podcast. And today, please meet our guest, Mary Beth Cowardin, who said I do for the first time at the age of 49. After years of growth, heartbreak, healing, and hope, she met the love of her life and discovered that it's never too late to write a brand new chapter. Her journey is proof that love has no deadline, and your version of happily ever after might arrive right on time, even if it's not on schedule. Hi, Mary Beth. I'm very excited to have you on today's podcast.
Oh, hi, Victoria. I'm honored that you would invite me and that you find my story inspiring. So look forward to sharing it.
Sure. Can you please take us back to your younger years, please? And tell us, did you ever always imagine getting married one day? Or you were like, okay, whatever, if it's happened, it's happened.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I grew up in a pretty average household. I have one sister who's a little younger. We grew up in Columbus, Ohio, and typical family, played sports, did other activities, did okay in school, all that. So I'd say pretty normal, pretty average, and went through college, got my first job outside of college, and it was pretty career focused, but figured, I would meet the right person at some point. And one thing I did find is in that first job, I did a lot of travel and I did a lot of international travel. And I probably didn't know at the time that that might have a bit of an impact on the ability to meet someone that you would have a long-term relationship with.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
So what happened next? So you traveled a lot. And so did you ever have moments like when you thought, oh, maybe marriage just isn't in the card for me, or it's okay,
No,
just be with myself?
Yeah, I don't know if I thought that. I do remember I had a college roommate who had a very serious boyfriend, and pretty obvious that they would likely get married and they would talk about having a family and kids. And I can remember thinking, oh, I'm not in a rush for that per se. But I also didn't think that I wouldn't get married. I just figured
Mm-hmm.
it would happen at the right time. And like I said, I traveled a lot. I had a guy I was seeing at one point, and I had been gone for a couple weeks. I thought we had an okay relationship. But I had been on the road for a couple weeks. I came home and found out he was engaged. So
Oh,
that was a little bit of a surprise, and probably a moment when maybe I lost a little bit of confidence in the
mhm.
idea of a relationship.
I mean, I bet a couple of weeks is a very
Yeah, that
period of time.
that would happen. So that probably, it certainly caused me pause and caused me to be, maybe a little hurt and bruised from it, and then
Mhm,
not really look around for a while, and probably made me a little less trustworthy for a while of
mhm.
others. So, but again, I was pretty career oriented, pretty focused, and maybe I used that as an excuse. I don't know. I could have. I could have. Um, but family is important to me, and I went back to grad school, got my MBA,
Oh.
moved away from Columbus, and had an hour commute to work. So in that situation, there wasn't a whole lot of extra time at the end of the
Yes.
day, right? You get up, you drive an hour, you go to work and work hard all day, and come home, and it's like 7:30 at night. Who has a lot of energy at
Yes,
that
yeah.
point? So there were several years where that was kind of the routine. And I actually ended up moving back to Columbus where my parents were and lots of friends and family. Not something I necessarily expected, but a
Hmm.
different job opportunity came up. And it was certainly nice to be in a place where I had a wide network. And I kind of thought, well, maybe that will help, you know?
Yes.
Um, and so it was at that point where I actually had to make a decision about what part of town to live in. And I did decide in a more suburban area because that's where my parents were living
Hmm.
and are living. But that might also not have been the smartest decision in terms of meeting other single eligible bachelors. Let's put it that way. I'm
Yes.
in a suburb full of families. And so that probably didn't help. And, I went through, online match.com, used
Hmm.
It's Just Lunch, which is a dating service. Did that for a while. Had a lot of really bad dates, to be honest. And so it would ebb and flow. There'd be periods of time where I was happy. I had activities that I was involved with, different
Hmm.
sports, different interests, volunteered different places, and I wasn't unhappy with my life. But I did want to meet someone, but I just wasn't meeting someone that I felt was worth spending a lot of time with. I
Hmm.
think I've always been a person of good character judgment. And so if I met someone and I didn't kind of click with that person, I did not tend to just date that person for a while for the sake of
Hmm.
doing that. That just wasn't me. And so one of the things that happened in 2015, actually kind of 2014, a friend of mine did a project, and social media was becoming bigger,
Yes.
and the project was called Selfies for a Cause. So every day for a year she posted a selfie with a story about a nonprofit.
Hmm.
And the backstory on that is she did it because she worked for a nonprofit and she was a couple generations older than many of the other associates there. And one day she came in and she was kind of complaining because it was cold outside. And someone made a comment, "Oh, what are you going to do? Take a selfie about it or post about it on social media?" And she said, "By George, I am." And so she created this program, Selfies for a Cause. I didn't really know that backstory, but I certainly followed her posts and found the information she shared interesting. And at the end of the year, we had another really cold spell, and I posted about the cold. It was the polar vortex time. It was like -9 degrees.
Oh my
And I
goodness.
posted about it. And she said, "Hey, that's what got this whole thing started." And I'm like, "I didn't know that." And she goes, "Tag, you're it for next year."
Oh wow.
I took the project on for 2015 and every day posted and blogged. I kind of added on to the foundation my friend built and I blogged about it. And, I like to think, and my blog was called The Daily Dose of Goodness.
Hmm.
And what I like to do is each day I picked, again, a nonprofit to focus on, but there was a reason. Like it was the national day of something, or it was a family member's birthday and they are
Hmm.
interested in an activity. So I found a
Well, that's
nonprofit.
very creative.
I really like to connect things. So that was kind of my approach. And it was halfway through that year that I met the person who's now my husband. So I really do like to believe that putting that goodness out there is
Yes.
what attracted finally the person that I,
Your person. I call it your person for
yeah,
that.
my
Yeah.
person, and I tell him he was worth the wait. And
Yeah.
so we
Oh.
dated for about a year before, maybe a year and a half, before we got engaged, and then we got married. And yeah, I got married for the first time at age 49. Didn't
Congrats.
really think it would be that age when I got married, but I'm happy that I did. I know lots of people have had various different relationships or gone through divorces,
Hmm.
and those are hard times. My parents also divorced when I was like 14, so that might have had some
Yes.
background play in my ability to have relationships. But like I say, he was worth the wait. That's for
How
sure.
did you guys meet? I think a lot of listeners would like to know, how did you meet?
Yeah. Well, I am involved with an organization in Columbus called Pelotanya. It is a grassroots nonprofit organization that raises money for cancer research at the
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State University. And along with some friends, we co-founded a Peloton, which is a cycling team
Yeah.
called Girls with Gears. And just through riding and through some of my cycling friends, he and I met at a birthday party. He would like to say that we actually met on Match.com, but I honestly do not remember that.
Oh, so he has a different story.
He says I blew him off, but I told him I would never do that.
Or maybe that's the reason to show sometimes you look at the profile picture and you just you're not clicking, but when you meet in person it's actually you feel that connection.
Yeah, a whole different thing. And so there was actually a party on the patio for Peloton one evening, and we were there. And again, social media being social media, I had posted that I had an extra ticket to a concert. There was a
Mm-hmm.
country music fest concert at Ohio Stadium. It was the first year of it. My stepmom and I had gotten tickets, but she couldn't go because she had a cousin who's getting married. We didn't know at the time we bought the tickets that she'd be going to a wedding. So I had posted, I'd asked like all my friends, they were either
Mm-hmm.
already going or had something else going on. And so I posted on Facebook, hey, I've got an extra ticket. Anyone interested? And I saw him at this party and he's like, hey, you still have that ticket? And I'm like, yeah, are you interested in going? And he said, sure. And then I think we both had one of those moments of, oh, shoot, is this a date?
Unplanned date.
So we went to the concert. We had a really good time. And on the way home, he picked me up at my house. We met some friends at the concert. He dropped me off. And on the way home, he called and he said, you left your purse in my car. And I don't think I did. And I'm like, oh, and he's like, I'm just kidding, but would you like to go out? So we made plans to go out that next weekend. And then actually a friend of mine called me and had tickets for an event a couple days earlier than that. And I called him and said, hey, you want to go to this event with me? And so that was really our first date. And it really was, my mom used to say, Mary Beth, you'll know, when you meet the right person, you'll know. And I believe that, but boy, she really was right. That was
So basically you're saying if you meet someone and you just know. So
yeah,
there is no like rules, what you need to do, because looks like all the rules failed.
yeah, we did. We
Not failed,
survived.
it was experience, let's put it
Yes.
this way.
So yeah. So we really, we started dating and he would show up at some rides. He was the cyclist too, obviously. So
Mhm.
he would come to some training rides, and I could tell some of the ladies are like, why is he showing up every night?
Oh, so he was very determined, looks like.
Yeah, he was. But he had some things going on with his life as was moving his parents from their home to senior living, and his dad took sick, and that happens. And we just were there for each other during those times. And I can remember one morning driving to work going, you know what, I really think this is it. I think this is the one.
So you remember that
having
moment?
that distinct conversation with myself in my head. And his dad did pass, and a couple months later we went on a trip. We wanted to go to Hilton Head, and on the way down we stopped in Virginia, which is where I was born. We stopped at a place that I used to go to with our family a lot, and I spent my summers there. And it's in the mountains. It's in the Blue Ridge Mountains. It's beautiful. A resort called Wintergreen. And so he had heard me talk about it. He's like, well, why don't we stop on the way down? I'm like, sure, that'd be great. I hadn't been in a while. And we got there late on a Friday night. And then Saturday morning, I was taking him around the mountain, and there's these different overlook points. And we got to the first one. And at one point I turned around and there he was on his knee proposing. So he proposed.
I'm going to cry now.
And that place had always been super special to me. So I remember calling my mom and dad and saying, hey, we're at Wintergreen, and you guys know that this is a really special place to me, but it just got a lot more special. And
Yes. Oh my
we
goodness.
just got engaged. And so, of course, everybody was excited. They'd met him and come to know him and really loved him too, as much as I do. So
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's such a beautiful story. It definitely gives a lot of hope to everyone who is looking for their partners in life. What do you think was the most surprising for you about getting married later in life?
um I guess just that I probably didn't ever realize it does take effort, to meet someone and to have a relationship
Hmm.
and get to a point where, you're the right people for each other and someone you want to spend your life with. I guess I just kind of always thought it would happen. And it is what happened. However, I do think um you do have to put some work into it. Not
Hmm.
everybody's fortunate enough to meet and date a high school sweetheart who turns into your spouse for your whole life. Like that
Yes.
that that's a fairy tale for many people, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I think just probably surprised it took me that long, or again, I don't know why. I don't have a lot of regrets about it by any means, other than by the fact that, can have children at that age would
Hmm.
be a challenge. So sometimes I think maybe that is something I've missed out on, but I'm very close with many friends, children,
Hmm.
godchildren. And so I feel like I am able to be a good role model for
Yeah.
other youth. And so I fulfill that in a different way for me.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. Because I know that a lot of people are saying that it's very hard to meet someone later at life because you have already, you're an established person. When you meet earlier and you grow together, it's one thing. But when you meet a little bit later in life, you have your own habits, you have your
Yeah,
own life. And how would you fit in another person into your life? But it
yeah,
looks like it all just comes naturally with some effort, of course.
sure,
you
sure.
you still have to invest time in it.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point and a very valid point probably for a lot of people. You do develop habits and preferences and likes and dislikes.
Hmm. Hmm.
Those formulate as you get older, those kind of get more and more ingrained in you.
Yes.
So yeah, fortunately we clicked right away. I mean, I remember going to the concert and we parked and we had to walk a ways and we were just chatting the whole time, and we discovered we had a lot of things in common.
Hmm.
We had studied some of the same things in undergrad. We both started out as architecture majors, even though neither of us graduated with an architect degree for different reasons. And so just, we just kind of talked easily and just clicked right away. And we have talked if we've not been together, we have talked on the phone every single day since we first met.
Oh, wow.
I still travel some from work, but I make
Hmm.
sure that we at least talk each day
Oh,
that I'm
wow, that's amazing. Yeah, it's actually really investing your time in relationship, not just letting slip by.
right. Right.
Yeah. So how do you guys overcome challenges? I'm sure you face some challenges, but how did you overcome those challenges?
Well, that's a good question. Everyone has challenges. I mean, I know for the challenges I've experienced, he's been a great support to me.
Hmm.
Listens to me, supports me. If I need to cry, he lets me cry, you know.
Oh.
And right now, little his mother's still living. She's 95. She's amazing, but she is 95 and we're starting to
Yes.
see changes in her, and that's really hard.
Mhm.
She doesn't remember certain things or
Mhm.
really
Mhm.
relies on him quite a bit for a lot of things. And so, just try to gently remind him of what's important. And he knows
Mhm.
what's important. But
Yeah.
I think just being there, being that person to listen when you need someone to listen and someone to lean on when you need someone to lean on is what's helped us.
Mhm. Oh, wow. I think this is maturity. I feel
Probably, there's been some of that.
yeah, I think it's maturity on both sides, right?
Yeah.
So you respect each other, you respect your like own needs, both
Mhm.
needs, and I think a lot of people probably missing that maturity level to hear and understand another person.
Yeah.
Looks
Yeah.
like you guys found your way around. What would you say to a woman or actually a man as well in their 30s, 40s, and sometimes 50s who feels discouraged about love?
Oh gosh. Well, I can relate a little bit. There were certainly times I might have felt that way, but I would say you have to be true to yourself and be true to your heart. And
Hmm.
frankly, my motto was don't waste time on someone you know is not right for you. And honestly, I've witnessed a lot of people do that. And I just
Hmm.
said, I'm not going to do that. Life is too precious. I
Yes.
like doing too many other things. It wasn't critical to me that I had someone to share it with. But I will tell you now that I have someone to share it with, it is way better. But yeah, don't stay in a relationship that's not a healthy one for you.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's just not a great situation, and I'm sure that's if you are in that situation, my heart goes out to you, and I'm sure that's scary, the thought of making a change, but be true to yourself. We have one life to live and make sure
Yes.
we live it the best we can.
Yeah, and I think when we live our true lives, this is when our people are attracted to us. So they feel it and we know it. And as you said, you know when you know. So
Right. Right.
and
Trust your instinct, trust your instinct.
yeah, and I think it's hard to explain exactly how you know it's him or her, right? Because you have to feel it yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is hard to describe. Yeah, I'm trying even to think how I knew what were the feelings, but
Yeah.
just the ease,
Mhm.
it was just
Yes.
easy. It wasn't
Hmm.
work.
Oh, I
Conversations
love
came
that.
naturally, doing things together came naturally. Enjoying some of the same things help, yet at the same time, we have different interests as well. And so having that
Hmm.
balance between the two, I think, is important.
So, and you both respect each other's interests, like separate interests, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I like what you said about easy
Yeah.
relationship. You don't have to work hard on
Right.
relationship. You don't have to work hard. Sometimes people say, "Oh, we need to work on our relationship all the time," but it's more investing your time and finding time to spend with this person with ease, right? Not working on the relationship.
Yeah, and not feeling like you have to turn it on or
Yes,
turn it off or put on a certain face or be a certain way. Like, be yourself.
be
Being
yourself.
being yourself is easy. That's how you know.
So, what's your favorite thing about being married now?
Having someone to share everything with and do things with, and even if sometimes we're just laying on the couch and binge watching some Netflix show, I mean, it's just nice to have someone to share that with. Sometimes we do probably get a little too wrapped up with our phones as we do that, and
Hmm.
sometimes we are working on trying to not do that as much and be more present. I think in this day and age, it's hard because everything you need is in the palm of your
Yes.
hand.
Yes, that's
Um,
true.
but just love having someone to share life with. He has three wonderful children, grown adults, and so being part of their life. The oldest is about to get married herself at
Oh,
30, more of the normal age.
yes.
But just being part of that, and being part of a family, and um, we talk about the things we want to do when we retire and where we want to live. And just so having someone to have those hopes and dreams with is
Mhm.
special.
And at the same time, it's easy. Like, I really like what you said. It's so easy just to be yourself, and you don't have to earn respect or pretend you are not someone who you're not. It's
Right.
amazing.
Right. And, he puts up with all my wild and crazy projects and ideas, and I'm always moving from one thing to the next. And he kind of rolls with the flow, and that's good. That helps. That
Does
helps.
he support you on those
He
crazy ideas?
does. He does.
Yeah, this is amazing. Yeah, I love that. I think you confirmed one of my theories as well, that relationships should be easy with,
Mhm.
of course, some efforts, but it should, you know when you know.
Mhm.
It's an easy flow. It's easy to be with this person. It's probably safe. You feel safe and secured when you're with the right person, and don't waste your time spending with someone with whom you don't feel this way. Let's put it this way.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I do think sometimes I think back on the fact my parents got divorced, and that was hard. And, my mom had to work hard to make sure she could raise me and my sister.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think there was probably moments where I thought, I'm not going to rely on anyone, and that
Yes.
probably did play into the fact it took me maybe longer to find that my
Mm-hmm.
um, but I am independent, and I've learned I can still be independent and be in a relationship, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Can
doing
you
good.
share that secret? I think for a lot of independent women, that would be one of the things. And we met with some ladies today, and we talked about it. How would you stay independent um, when you find your partner, right? So,
Yeah.
can you share the secret?
Well, I don't know if I have a secret. I guess I never thought about it that way, but we've found each other's strengths and what we're good at,
Mhm.
and we strike a balance. You think about all the things you have to do to manage a household and manage the things in your lives, and there's things he takes care of, and there's things I take care of, and
Mhm.
we still each have our own good friends from before we know each other. Like that hasn't changed, and um so just you don't have to, it's not giving, I don't look at it as giving something up.
Mhm.
It's 1 + 1 = 4.
Oh, I love
you
it.
know so
Yes.
um I guess I can understand people maybe being fearful of giving up independence, and I don't
Yes.
know if I intentionally thought about it per se. I do think it just was in the background for
Mhm.
me. Um, maybe early in my 20s, I was a little more stubborn around that,
Mhm. Mhm.
and over time, maybe just relinquish that a little bit more. But
Yeah,
yeah,
because when you're in your 30s and 40s, you are an independent woman, right? So you have to be independent, you build your life, you rely, as you said, on yourself.
yeah,
And for a lot of women, allowing men, for example, to show up in their lives, it feels as a threat to their independence.
yeah, yeah.
But looks like you guys have a great story. It's easy if it's the right
Yeah, it's easy.
person.
I certainly understand that, and there were. I mean, I'm sure there are single women who think about, okay, what's going to happen when I'm in my 80s, and we're in
Yes.
our final years, and I would think about that. I'm like, I don't want to
Hmm.
be all alone.
Yeah.
I may still be all alone. Like I don't have control over over
Yes. Yeah,
that.
that's true, right?
So I guess I just kind of let go of that, and what will be will be. Um, but if you find you're a person who's closed off to the idea, then I think you're going to remain closed off and probably not
Hmm.
find your person. So there was a time I was certainly working on making sure I was open to the
Yeah.
possibility of meeting someone.
Hmm. Yeah, because I mean, I think we all have our stories, right, that hurt us, but being open and, as you said, opening our heart to new relationships, something new. And even though you can be independent, you have your career in place, you can find the person who actually fulfills you and makes you happy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Be open to it. It's worth it.
Yeah.
Look
Oh,
what it's
it's worth
hard.
it. Very inspiring, very inspiring. Thank you.
Oh, well,
Any
thanks for having me.
any advice for women and men as well, actually, who are still looking and writing their own happily ever after story?
Keep at it. The right
Mhm.
person will come along at the right time. And I was
Mhm.
always a believer in what is meant to be will be, and when it's meant
Mhm.
to be, it will happen. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mary Beth. Thank you for sharing such an encouraging story. I think a lot of listeners will feel inspired that there is love out there. Um, and thank you for reminding us that life doesn't come with deadlines and that love shows up when you are ready and you have your heart open.
Yeah.
And I want to tell our listeners that if you're listening and wondering if your life story is still out there, there's a spoiler alert. It is. Just keep looking, be open to it, and you will have a great story despite your age. And you can meet them at 29, 49, or 79. Just
Mhm.
remember, you are never too old for a new beginning.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary Beth. Thank you
Thank you.
for sharing your story, and we will share your social media information below this episode, so you can follow Mary Beth on her social media and maybe see her 1 year challenge. I don't know. Kudos to you for doing that. And if you feel that life feels overwhelming with constant challenges and pressure, download my 3 favorite techniques to calm your uh, to boost your calmness and help you stay grounded and in the present moment. And please don't forget to subscribe. Do not miss another powerful story. And remember, no matter how tough things get, you are not alone.
Awesome.